Yes, 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 yes. I will take it. I will take it. Will it be great? Absolutely not. Was it a fantastic second half and a comeback win? Yes, hell yes. And I'll absolutely take that going into City over the weekend. All right. Welcome, everybody, back to the American Blues Podcast. This is your host, Terry Lee. And what a game against Crystal Palace. It was definitely one of those games of two halves where the first half, honestly, there's almost nothing to say. I nearly fell asleep. I almost got up and made myself an espresso just to be able to pay attention to the game because it was so slow, anemic, and we had one half chance to go if at that, which I don't even really count as a chance since the goalie didn't even attempt to make a save. Gallagher just hit it wide. But what a comeback. Second half, 90th minute, 94th minute, Gallagher, Enzo win. You know what? Right now, we just need the points, so any win is a win. So let's start from the beginning. So the formation for the game, honestly, I thought it was exactly what Pochettino was going to pick. We didn't have too many options. He played the false nine with Palmer up front again, Jackson out on the left wing where he's much better, and Madueke out right since he played really well against Aston Villa. So I agree with that too. And then you had Gallagher, Enzo, Caicedo. Pochettino's almost never going to mess with that formation, so they're going to be there. Cho on the left, Gusto on the right, and then Thiago Silva and Disasi. Now, I think the only question was he going to start Gallagher or Nkunku, or was he going to start Silva or Colwell? Now, I know we've had almost 7 months of Pochettino now. It's pretty obvious he just does not want to rush players back, especially when they just return from injury. And honestly, I can't disagree with that. You know, we've had one of the worst injury records over the past 2.5 years of any team in the whole league. So I understand giving players time to come back, and that's perfectly fine with me. So I thought the team basically selected itself. Now, the first half, I mean, this is just so stereotypical of our season. We start like we have absolutely no interest in progressing the ball forward. We have no idea what to do. None of the midfield players or the attack were in communication with each other. Every time Enzo got the ball, he would look up. There'd be nobody making a run, and he would pass back to the defense and then hold up his arms and yell at players to tell him, hey, why don't you come get the ball? Why don't you make some room? Why don't you make a single run that I could pass to? But, you know, Enzo's a player that if nobody's running around him, he's not effective. That's his entire game, is to get the ball and make the pass. But if there's no pass available, then guess what happens? The ball just gets recycled. And again, if I could just draw a picture of the first half, it would be horseshoe. We played horseshoe football again, just passing from defenders to the fullbacks, back to defenders, and time again, it just went absolutely nowhere. Now, what was incredibly frustrating to see in the first half was just how little communication there was between Enzo and then either Jackson or Palmer. I honestly don't think Palmer in the false nine position makes too much sense. You know, he's not that clinical at finishing. All his benefits that he offers on the right side, which you saw in the second half, do not exist when he's in the middle. Because instead of trying to stay up there as a striker, he tends to drift way back almost near the defensive line to get the ball, and then he'll turn to try to make a progressive pass. You know, that's not really his role in the team. His role is not to be the connection between defense and midfield. That is on the defense and midfield. He needs to be the link between midfield and offense, and he, for some reason, was just not able to do that as a false nine today. And it might also be because Jackson was just making some weird runs on the left side. Either he wasn't running back whenever Chilwell and Enzo got the ball on the left, or he wasn't making a good enough run where they could pass to him. So just honestly, nothing about the first half made sense. It was extremely, extremely boring to watch. And honestly, I was afraid that this was going to be the whole game. I was going to end up having to just rant about how absolutely terrible we were again. But thankfully, after the half, with one change, Madueke came off, which fine, he really wasn't that effective. And he and Caicedo were both at fault for that first goal, for holding onto the ball way too long, giving up the ball again. And honestly, it was just an incredible strike. There's nothing you could do to stop that strike. There's nothing Petrovic could have done. You could have 3 goalies in the goal and they wouldn't have saved that strike. Absolute perfection, but still highly annoying because it was extremely preventable. We really weren't under that much pressure between Madueke and Caicedo, but they just dawdled on the ball enough where they lost it. Now, was there a foul on Caicedo? Maybe, but honestly, it was so mild that they were never going to overturn it anyways. And then there was a second shout for a potential penalty when Thiago Silva pushed over the Palace player in the box. I thought it was extremely weak. It was like barely a brush on his back. It was definitely not enough for a penalty, especially if the ref on the field didn't think so. Then VAR was never going to overturn that. But second half, now I will say many Chelsea fans give Pochettino plenty of stick for when he doesn't pick the right formation, doesn't play the right players in the right positions, or, it is on him when the team just does not show up in the first half. But I think he does deserve some praise when praise is due. And whatever he said at halftime, whatever tactical changes he told them to make, made an absolute world of difference, because right at the second half, 47 minutes in, Caicedo, great move, passed the ball on the right side to Palmer, and then Palmer hit a great cross into Gallagher, and what a great finish. And that's exactly what I want to see from Gallagher more. No, he's got the high energy, he's got the pressing, he could work on his link-up play with the rest of the midfield offense a bit more and not slow the game down when he gets the ball. But finishing, he has just not had the finishings this season, and this game was just perfect time for him to show up. Obviously it was probably weighing down on him that he hadn't scored a single goal, and then all you need is that first one during Aston Villa, and hopefully now the floodgates have opened for him and he's less nervous whenever he's in the box and more clinical, like how we saw today. But great first goal, got us back into the game. And then the game kind of went back and forth. Not too much else happened. And then Sterling came on for Jackson, which I also agree with. Jackson was just really not that effective today. He did have a few good runs, few good touches, but really no end result. And he had a few decent headers when, again, he doesn't really score headers, so that's not really his game. Something for him to definitely work on if he wants to keep playing up top and if he wants more goals. Anyways, Sterling was just Sterling for the majority of the time he was on during the second half. Wasn't terribly effective, but he did have one good run, so definitely props to him. Picked up the ball in the midfield, had a good turn, had a good first touch, and then hit the ball out wide to Palmer, who hit a really good cross. I thought it was maybe a little bit too slow, but it was still a good cross. It was accurate. Made it to Gallagher, who first time bottom left corner won the game. And I thought he almost ran into crowd, which is really, really funny, but I'm glad he managed to stop himself and not get himself a yellow. But then DeSasio was like, I don't really care. And he jumped straight into the crowd. So awesome to see. It's great to see that the players, when they celebrate, they clearly mean something to them to win these games. They're not just sitting there for a paycheck. And I want to see that more. I want to see that passion more from the players, but I want to see it for a full 90 minutes, not just 45 and during a comeback. I want to see us dominate games, especially against such an average side like Crystal Palace, who are missing three of their most important players today. And then the final goal, Enzo, what a great goal. It started off as a 2-on-2 counterattack, turned into 3-on-2. Honestly, it was harder to miss than to score, but I do like his composure. He sat the defender down, he confused the goalie, and then he hit it first time into that top corner again. And again, amazing celebration. Now, let's go over the positive first, which is really the second half. Whatever Pochettino said during the half made a huge difference. The slight tweak in formation and players made a huge difference too. And everybody loves a good comeback win, so that's always good. It's good for the team. It's good to show them that they can come back if they just play as a team and make the runs and work for each other. So I want them to carry that into City, because City is not going to be easy, and chances are we're probably going to lose that game. But as many teams have seen this season, City can be got at. Like, you can score goals on them. We did tie them 4-4 earlier in the season. So if we can channel that energy and hope for some luck, maybe we can actually do well against City. Another positive is honestly Conor Gallagher. Great game. First half, he was pretty non-existent, had really poor link of play, slowed the game down too much. But second half, when we needed him to step up, he took his chances, got us 2 goals, gave us the win. You can't really expect any more than that from our midfield. And then I want to shout out Petrovic. He absolutely kept us in the game in the second half. That one save where I forgot which Crystal Palace player it was, but they were left open and took a nasty hard shot, bottom right. And Petrovic managed to get down in time to parry it away. Honestly, I've been saying this ever since he started playing for the team and Sanchez has been injured. I want to see more of Petrovic. He has been extremely reliable. He barely makes any mistake. He had one bad pass today, and that was a hard hit to Nkunku on a counterattack that he just completely missed and ball went out wide. But apart from that, I have no complaints. Ball goes back to him. He passes to a defender. He's able to get it out if he's under too much pressure, and he makes saves that can be saved. And the ones that can't be saved, who cares? That's not really on him. Now, on to negatives. Entire first half. Honestly, the whole team deserved an absolute 0 for that first half performance. We looked sleepy. We looked slow. Nobody looked interested. Whenever Thiago Silva had the ball, he looked up. Nobody was making runs. People weren't going through the midfield. Just the same issues again and again creeped into that first half. And as long as we don't do that again, they just need to play through the midfield more, have players make runs, make space for each other, and then we'll have more of the second half. Another big negative, which is Thiago Silva injury. Now, I know he's 39. We can't use him every game, but just to have Thiago Silva around is better than not having him around. And it looked like he immediately knew he had an injury, and it looked like a groin injury, which usually means several weeks, if not 1 to 2 months out. So that's a complete shame. But thankfully, Colwell's back, and hopefully Colwell can stay healthy. And the last thing, it looked like maybe Gusto felt like he was at his limits because he asked for a substitution at the end of the game. I was terrified that he had pulled something, but he kept running, and then he came off, and he didn't go straight down to the tunnel. He didn't get treatment. He just celebrated with the rest of the team in the stand. So hopefully that was just precautionary. Maybe it was him just knowing his body, saying, hey, I need to come off now. If you keep making me do these sprints, then I'm going to injure myself. And understandable that he was tired or needed a sub because he was all over the place today. He was sprinting up and down the field. Every time the ball was on the right side, he tried to get into offense and make some plays. And every time we lost the ball, he was sprinting back into defense. So that's what I want to see from him more. He is, like I said multiple times now, the perfect stand-in for Reece James. And then last but not least, I think overall, I feel like there's plenty of Chelsea fans who are going to be pretty negative about the game today. Negative on Pochettino, saying they want him out. Negative on the first half because we play like absolute dog shit. But I do think that with such a young team who's clearly in building, when we see positives, we have to call them out. We have to try to support the team and the manager. It doesn't help to go into a game in 45 minutes and immediately say that Pochettino needs to leave. That's not how that works. Yes, it's on him. We've started too many games too slowly, and he has to rectify that. But sometimes that is just par for the course for a young team that needs that experience, needs to learn that they cannot let their foot off the gas ever in a 90-minute game, ever. And hopefully they're able to take that second half and apply it to next week because we will absolutely need it against City. So let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more. See you after the City game. Peace.